We're going to study the story of the descent of the family to Mitzrayim, to Egypt, specifically the plan of where they're going to be and how they present themselves, and they present the plan to Paro, and then that experience of standing before the Pharaoh. Okay, that's where I want it. That will be our focus. So let's take a look. We'll start sharing some text, screen, and see where we go. Okay, actually, I don't want that. I want to start off with instead the text in the Torah. All right. So the end of chapter 46. Yaakov and Yosef see each other. It's a very powerful moment of reunion. They weep on each other's shoulders. Seemingly, somehow, that's a separate question of who cries for whom. Let me get rid of this over there. So here we go. Vayomer Yosef el Achav. This is verse 31. And Yosef says to his brothers, Bel Beit Aviv, and to his father's house, E'eleh ve'agida leFaro, ve'omra elav achai, uVeit Avi asher be'eretz Canaan ba'u elai. I will go up and I will tell Pharaoh, and I'll say to him that my brothers and my father's house, who were in the land of Canaan, they've come to me. Hold on a second. I want to change one thing. I'll see if I can shift the view here. Okay. So Vanashim Ro'eit Zone. Now we have the question, and what do we do with this verse? Is this part of the quote, or is this the clarification that we should be aware of? We should understand some facts about them. So the men were shepherds. Kan shemikneh hayu. They were breeders of flock. V'tonamu v'karamu chol shelahem heviu, and their sheep and their herds and all that they have, they brought with them. Okay. V'hayaki kra lachem paro, and it shall be that when Pharaoh calls to you, Va'amar ma ma'asechem, and he'll say, what is your occupation? Va'amartem, and you will say, Anshe mikneh hayu avadecha minureinu ata. We are shepherds, breeders of flocks, of livestock. We have been your servants. Your servants have been from our youth up until this day. Gam anachnu, gam avotenu, both us and our ancestors. Ba'avur teshvu be'eretz Goshen, ki to'avat Mitzrayim kol ro'eit zon. In order that you should settle in the land of Goshen, because it is an abomination for Egypt, anyone who is a shepherd. Okay. When you read this, so tell me what's here laid before us.
I think they're getting their story straight. That he's saying, this is what I'm going to tell Paro, and then you should back me up and say the same thing.
So I have a whole plan, right? That is what Yosef says. Excuse me. Yosef says, I'm going to go in, and then when you're called in, here's what you say. Say what I tell you to say. And why should they listen to Yosef?
He's used to dealing with Paro.
Because he knows what he's talking about. Exactly right. He's accustomed to dealing with Paro, and they come and they're going to be Mr. Big shots or something. They'll say, we have experience in Egypt. What's been their experience in Egypt?
Selling their brother.
Okay, yes. And more recently, what's been an experience in Egypt?
Buying grain,
and then having the viceroy, maneuver all manner of things and imprisoning a brother and then accusing them and all those kinds of things. So, they don't really they're not savvy. They're not Egyptian savvy. Okay, they are not. And so Yosef has a very tight, and have they ever met Paro before?
Not that we know.
They have not met Paro, right? The word goes out that after Yosef reveals himself to his brothers, that Yosef's family is there. Paro is very pleased about it. But he doesn't meet them, and he just says, he says, I give you instructions to go bring stuff down to your father and bring him back up. So, but they've never met him, and so Yosef is trying to manage this and control this because he knows what he's talking about. What does Yosef want?
To
His
see
family to
Binyamin.
be apart.
Willow, what did you say?
To see Binyamin.
No, that's not right. He sees them all. That's all done. What's his intention in this tightly controlled encounter with Yaakov? What does he want to accomplish?
He's keeping them safe from something that the Egyptians don't want, but he's also keeping them apart
Yeah.
so that they can maintain their
That's
beliefs.
right.
Okay, so what he wants is, short answer what he wants is a family to be able to live in Goshen. That's his plan. And why does he want to do it? Well, the why isn't fully clear. Just I want you to live in Goshen. We are told some facts, but the why around the facts isn't totally. Let's go back to the text again. Hold on a second. Yeah. They are shepherds, right? Bavur Teshu Be'eretz Goshen, so that you may live in the land of Goshen. Ki toavat Mitzrayim kol ra'it son. So what do we do that ki toavat Mitzrayim kol ra'it son? Is that the reason why he wants them to live in Goshen, or is it the ace in his deck that will help ensure that they'll be able to live in Goshen? Let's pause and look where Goshen is. Okay, everyone see this little map? Yes? Okay. Eretz Canaan. Look, we should be able to recognize the map without any Hebrew words on it, I hope. Okay. Here's the Sinai Peninsula. It happens to say Sinai here. This is Canaan over here. This is the Nile River. This is the Delta, right? Nile Delta. Delta Hanilos Mitzrayim Hatachtona. Right. This is the Nile River Delta. It is lower Egypt. This is Mitzrayim Ha'elyona. This is upper Egypt. It gets confusing to us between upper and lower, right?
Yeah.
Because up is down and down is up. But what do we know about the Nile River direction-wise?
It flows to the Mediterranean.
It flows north.
Right.
Okay? It flows north, and presumably that means that this is that the further north you go, that the lower it is, and that's why it's the lower Egypt and upper Egypt. It's not lower and upper on the map. It's lower and upper topographically because the Nile will presumably flows to some degree from where is it? Is it Lake Victoria? Am I right?
Where is Alexandria?
I don't know. But Alexandria is unimportant to us. It's much later. We're looking at biblical times. So, am I correct? It is a Lake Victoria that feeds the Nile, thousands of miles south. All right, that's
no,
what
Lake Victoria's in Africa.
That's good. We are in Africa, so that's what I think feeds the Nile and travels all the way over. So obviously we know one thing: the whole Nile Delta is the green. This is an aerial map, right? So the green is what we is very helpful because that's where you're going to have the luscious. I'm sorry.
But that's
area.
Goshen.
So this is where, but everyone lives. This is where most of the action is, and along the Nile River itself. I saw some maps. So ancient Egypt or Mitzrayim is going to be somewhere around here, folks. If you wouldn't mind, you can mute yourself unless you're directly commenting. Okay. So Eretz Goshen is here. Eretz Goshen. So on Mitzrayim is over here. And so, and the city of Mitzrayim is going to be somewhere nearby. How do we know that the city of Mitzrayim is relatively close to Goshen? You have to think a little bit ahead in the Torah. Anybody have a thought? How do we know that? because right, when Yaakov grows ill, Yosef hops on his chariot and heads to see his father. So you're not talking about hundreds of miles, presumably to get there. It's got to be relatively close. So Goshen, let's call it a suburb of the ancient city of Mitzrayim. Okay, so whose plan is it? I asked the question, whose plan is it? Pharaoh's, Yosef's, or Yaakov's? So I give you a number of verses to take a look at. Let's start with 45:10 and 45:18. Let's see how those texts, those psukim, flow for us. See, we got to go earlier, 45. Okay, don't get dizzy. Please don't get dizzy. Says Yosef, Maharu, this is after he reveals himself to his brothers. Maharu va'alu el avi. Go up to my father, Marteme Lav Ko Amar bin Chayosef, Shamani Elohim Adon L'chol Mitzrayim Medai La'al Tamod. Go tell Dad, I made it big. I'm a master in Egypt. Come down to me quickly, don't delay. V'yashavta be'eretz Goshen. He says to his father, that's the plan. You will live in the land of Goshen, and you'll be close to me, as I said. You can bring it all down and live there. And I will take care of you. I'll provide for you there, because you got many more years of famine. Okay? So this is Yosef's plan from the get-go, before his father even knew what a Goshen was. The plan is we're going to Goshen. But he doesn't. But what's the problem that he has? He's an Adon in Mitzrayim. He's a master in Egypt. But there's one what?
He has too many relatives.
The problem is that he's not the master of Egypt. Really, who's the real master of Egypt?
The Pharaoh.
Pharaoh was the real master of Egypt. Okay. Now, this is what happens when Paro gets wind of it. But Paro Yosef Amor Zotasu Tanu Birchem Lechubo Arza Canaan. Right, go bring it. He orders him. Pharaoh orders when he hears the news. Tell your brothers go fill up and go to Mitzrayim, to Canaan. Bring your father and your houses and come to me. Who's me?
Pharaoh.
And I will give to you the best of the land of Egypt. And you will eat of the fat of the land. So we looked at a map. So is it hard to figure out what Tuv Eretz Mitzrayim is? This is Tuv Eretz Mitzrayim. It's pretty broad though. This is a big expanse. So where in Tuv Eretz Mitzrayim will they go to is still unclear. By the way, there is apparently the following is clarified as I looked at some of the archaeological discussions about this. The Nile River, I can't tell where the Nile runs exactly. I think it kind of branches off into lots and lots of tributaries here and leading into the ocean, right, into the Mediterranean. Apparently, one of the branches took you up towards Goshen more than in ancient times than now, and that indeed the ancient city of Mitzrayim in the Torah depiction was along a tributary which now is mostly dried up, which is very interesting. Okay, and that a lot of this land here was once actually underwater. Was once underwater, but once the tributary dried up, then this area ended up being above the water table, and so you had and the claim was that Goshen was almost on the beach. That's really nice to be in Goshen, though, right? On the beach. So Yosef says, I have a plan already. You're going to go to Goshen. Paro says, I'll give you the Tuv Eretz Mitzrayim. So what does that mean? Tell me. So now you're Yosef. What do you know you got to do? What are your thoughts? Let's hear some other voices.
You got to come up with a reason why they can stay in Goshen.
You need, right, if you want Goshen, then you're going to have to narrow down Tuv Eretz Mitzrayim a little more, the best of the land of Egypt, and so you have to play Paro. You have to work on him. So let's go down to 46:28. I think it's one we just did. All right, back to our text. Hold on. So now they come down. Bye, 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 bye. Da, 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 da. Oops. 46:28. No, earlier. Yeah, yes. Ve'etu da shalach lefanav el Yosef. So we're told that Yaakov sends an advance party in Yehuda to Yosef lahorot lefanav Goshna. Lahorot lefanav Goshna, to direct him towards Goshen. Vayavo arta Goshen, and they came to the land of Goshen. So this tells you on the one hand that Yaakov, has he listened well to what Yosef said? Yes, right. Yehuda is his GPS, and it's going to get him right to the exact spot that Yosef wanted him to go to. Anybody familiar? We're not going to spend much time on it. Anybody familiar with the teaching on lahorot lefanav Goshna is also interpreted to mean lahorot lefanav?
Set up yeshivas.
Set up yeshivas. David, you're on target tonight. We'll look at the Rashi here. Rashi lahorot lefanav. So the first interpretation is render. This is the Targum says to prepare a place for him to show him how he should settle in it. Lahorot hora'ah is direction, but it also means more like a moreh, right? As a teacher, right? Before him means before he should arrive there. Midrashic comment is lahorot lefanav, in the sense of that there might be a place of teaching before him to establish for him a Beit HaMidrash, a place of study, and the actual Hebrew's finer, I think. Lahorot lefanav is a kain lo Beit Talmud shemisham teitzei hora'ah. That's a little anachronistic, but it tells you that he intended that, right? He understood what would Goshen provide them the ability to do.
A little later.
To be self-sufficient.
Self-sufficient, and more than self-sufficient. Other voices too. What, folks?
Make a profit on their granary?
No, please listen to what the Rashi said.
Study.
What?
The study?
To study. Goshen will be the place where they could maintain their world. This was going to be a secluded area where the specific Abrahamic Yaakov house of Yaakov life could continue to be led. And so we'll use an anachronistic terminology about a Beit Talmud, right? He set up a yeshiva there, but it does mean to say we'll be able to seclude ourselves from all that is Egypt that we don't like, that we're afraid of, that we are afraid of. So so this is what you do. Now we say this in general. The first thing that a community needs to build, when you start a community, what should a Jewish community set up as part of their infrastructure?
A mikvah.
A mikvah, correct. And
Mikvah.
and a Beit Knesset and a school and a pizza shop. But aside from the pizza shop, these are the essentials. So the Yaakov sends Yehuda ahead to make sure there's already a place for the kinderlach that go to yeshiva. So that means that Yaakov is on board with the plan of not going into downtown Mitzrayim. He doesn't want to go to the center of Mitzrayim. He's, and it's helpful that Paro has offered them Tuv Eretz Mitzrayim. Tuv Eretz Mitzrayim, the good of Egypt, absolutely feeds which narrative? The best parts of Egyptian land feeds what narrative that Yosef will try to sell him as well?
Self-sufficient.
Self-sufficiency, grazing lands for our animals, right? But that's not really the thing that Yaakov is necessarily interested in, nor perhaps Yosef. Even though I say to Eretz Mitzrayim, and we look at that map, it's probably going to be this is a question. If we say, what year is this? What year are we in? It's a trick question, but it's not a trick question. What year are we in the as the Torah describes this?
I don't know. I have to go look.
It's a trick question, but not.
1500
No,
BC.
no. The Torah describes it. What year is this? It's the second year of a famine.
Fa-
If it's
Oh,
the second year of a famine, then this aerial map is probably not correct. Why? Because what will this probably look like?
It'll
But
look
it's
more
all
like
desert.
desert.
It will not be green, right? It will be much. The green will be much lighter, perhaps just along, whatever the specific tributary. But we know about how did the Egyptian world water all these areas? By what? By the Nile
I'll overflow.
The flood,
overflowing,
flood?
right? It would overflow. It would
Nile.
help direct some of its channels. But so if Paro offers him two Eretz Mitzrayim, that also means that Paro is ready to give him precious land that that might still be somewhat productive in a generalized reality of a famine across everything. Okay. So just be aware of that piece. Let's just look one more point at the text. Let's look at 4634. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm pushing the wrong buttons here. 4634. Right, you want to go to Goshen, and when things actually happen, I just need to look at this myself again one more time. I apologize back and forth on you. So go to 47, 1, 4, and 6, and 11. Let's go back there. 47, 1, 4, 6, and 11. So we got when Yosef starts the conversation, Vayavo Yosef, Vayaged leFaro Vayomer Achai Aviv Achai V'tzonam V'karam V'chol Asher Lahem Ba'u Me'eretz Canaan V'hinam Be'eretz Goshen. This is true. Yosef now shows up before Pharaoh, and he tells him, my whole family came with all their sheep and flocks, right? And they happen to be in Goshen. Well,
How did they know to go to Goshen?
because they knew to go to. We looked at it before. Yosef told them, "I want you to go to Goshen," and then Yaakov comes down and he sends Yehuda. Make sure you tell me where is Goshen, and they find Goshen. So that's where they land. They land in Goshen, and that's exactly where Yaakov. And so once they're there already, you're going to hope that Paro is going to say, "Okay, let him stay in Goshen," right?
So we're saying that there are no Egyptians there then.
Presumably there are some Egyptians there, but
well, it's
seemingly it's
Israel.
not so settled. Seemingly it's not so settled there, right? So and so Yaakov has scattered out the land pretty well. Umiksei achav lakach hamisha anashim. Now let's read what happens. And so from Miketsei achav, from selecting some of his brothers, lakach hamisha anashim. He took 5 of them, vayatzigem lifnei Pharaoh, and he presented them to Paro. So that's interesting. When he said before, when Paro calls you
Right.
and it says and it asks what your job are, you tell him, right? So now it's what does Yosef decide to do about this? If when Paro calls you, he's turned into. Can you see the screen?
No, we can't see the screen.
So I wish you would tell me that. I realize you can't see the screen.
You're not sharing it.
I'm not sharing the screen. I've been so selfish, and I apologize. Let's try that again.
I was gonna get a chumash if you weren't going to show the screen.
Okay, now we see it.
So Yaakov had said before, Yosef said before, when he calls you, this is what you should say. But then what does Yosef seem to make a decision he's going to do? He selects a few brothers. Why?
It reduces the chance of the wrong information.
Good. Exactly true. He decides that I am gonna control this more tightly. I'm only gonna have a few brothers. So here, folks. So who did he take?
Yehuda.
Okay. Wait. Can you tell from the puzzle who he took?
I don't know.
Oh, no.
No, you cannot tell. And then Paro speaks to them, and by Yomru Paro they answer, you don't know who these brothers are. So here you have an interesting discussion about who they were. Says Rashi. Let's see.
Where are you?
David Gilbert, can you read us as part of this Rashi?
No, we're not in Rashi.
Rashi, can you see that, David?
Yeah, I was just muted.
Go ahead.
Okay. Some of his brethren, some of the inferior ones amongst them as to strength of those who did not look robust. For should Pharaoh find them to be robust men, he might press them for military service. The weaker brethren were as follows: Reuben, Shimon, Levi, Issachar, Benjamin, and it was they whose names Moses did not repeat when he blessed them. But the names of the strong ones he mentioned twice. And this is for Yehuda, hear eternal, the voice of Yehuda.
So this is now quoting the Gemara about this. They have a theory that whenever in the end of the Torah, when Moshe gives brachos to the tribes, that anyone where he says to the tribe name, marks them by name, those are the more stronger individuals. So I don't understand. It's not that important to us exactly how they get to this thesis here. I'm more interested just in the concept, which is Yosef decided to send down the weaker looking brothers and to put them before Pharaoh. Why?
So they wouldn't be conscripted into the army.
So this is even before the Russian army was conscripting kind of Yingalach, right? So he was worried that Pharaoh would do that.
Or is it also, or instead that he wanted to make sure that Pharaoh did not feel threatened by this group coming in and looking to take over. So he's setting them in Goshen, and he's not sending the stronger ones to confront Pharaoh.
I want to have the sheepyish looking of my brothers who look like they're just what harm could they do, and let them have what they want. They're not going right. So no trouble. There's no trouble in them. But so what's fascinating to me is the conclusion. Who's on the list? Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yisachar, and Binyamin. Who doesn't belong on the list in your minds of the weaker, not powerful guys?
Reuven.
Reuven, yeah.
No, Binyamin.
I was thinking Shimon and Levi. Shimon and Levi. What did Shimon and Levi do?
Levi was the tribe of Levi.
What did Shimon and Levi do together? Let's hear some other voices.
They killed all the people in Goshen.
They killed all the people of Shechem. Yes?
Right.
In their heated protection of their sister Dinah. Right? They go ahead and they slaughter a city. And here Rashi, quoting Chazal, tells us that you should know amongst the brothers, Shimon and Levi are not threatening looking at all. Which could be, which is fascinating, right? So guys who are otherwise unassuming in their prideful, protection of their sister Dinah's honor, they could carry out what they carried out. Now there is an opposing view in Chazal which says the exact opposite, and that the ones he put before Pharaoh are the ones who seem to be the most regal version of his brothers, which is then to sort of garner some sense of extra impressiveness with them. Not they shouldn't look like pale Nochschleppery people, but rather like I don't know. So those are two opposing views. Okay, so fine. He puts them before Paro. Vayomer Paro el achav, mama asechem. Paro asks them, "What is your occupation?"
Wait a minute, we lost it.
You lost it?
It just
It's
says no.
on the other side.
Go to the other side, please. The left-hand side.
Oh, we're back to the left-hand
Yes.
side.
So Paro said to his brothers, "What is your occupation?" So, what does this tell you about Yosef?
Well, he knew the
He
Pharaoh pretty
knows
well.
that man really
Yeah, man.
well, right? At some point, he's going to say, "Tell me about your line of work," and
You knew
boom,
about him.
he asked the question, "What's your line of work?" Vayimru al Paro, and they respond, "Ro etzona badecha gam anachnu gam avotenu." All right, we are shepherds. We, your servants, are shepherds, as we and our ancestors were as well. Is that pretty much what Yosef told him to do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's go back up and see.
Yeah.
V'hayaki kra lachem paro v'amar ma ma'asechem v'amartem. You should say to him, Anshe mikneh hayu avadechem minu reina barata gam anachnu gam avotenu. Okay, that's pretty good. Pretty much the same. We've been this all, Anshe mikneh is a stronger phrase. We breed livestock. Okay. Gam anachnu ba'avor teshvu be'eretz Goshen, so that you shall live in the land of Goshen. Is that part of what they're supposed to say?
No.
No. This is now his side instructions. The reason why I want you to say that is so you can dwell in the land of Goshen, because the Egyptians hate shepherds. Okay, so let's go on. So they say to him, right, we are exactly what Yosef said to say. Vayamru el Paro, and they said to Paro, Lagor ba'aretz banu. We've come to sojourn in the land. Ki ein mir ela tzana shel avadecha, because there was no more shepherding, right? There's no grazing for the sheep that belong to your servants. Ki chaved hara'ah be'eretz Canaan, because the famine has been so intensive in the land of Canaan. V'ata yeshuna avadecha be'eretz Goshen, and now let your servants please dwell in the land of Goshen. What do you think about that?
They weren't supposed to say that.
They were not supposed to say that. They were supposed to say their lines. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
You just say what I tell you to say, says Yosef. I got this wrapped up really well. I know how to do this. You just say, we're shepherds, and the rest I'll guide it. So and then it stumbles out of their mouth. We just want to live in Goshen. So that could blow the whole thing. Firstly, never oversell your interest in a specific parcel, because it's gonna, the price is gonna get, gonna raised on you. Something like that, right? Or who knows? So they talk too much. Now, admittedly, they might say, "But you said that, Yosef," and he said, "I said it to you. I didn't tell you that was your quote. I told you I want you to be able to live in Goshen, but I didn't need to say it." So now these five have turned into like the Three Stooges. Maybe. I don't know. Or they think they're smarter than they got this. They're feeling so good standing in front of Paro. Now they're gonna try on stuff. But I can only imagine in my head, my mind's eye, that Yosef is saying, "No, be quiet." Now let's see what's gonna happen. I don't know what's gonna happen. Okay, so what's gonna happen? So then Paro says, "Vayomer Paro Yosef le'mor avicha ve'achecha ba'u elecha." Paro said to Yosef, saying, "Your father and your brothers have come to you." What does that mean? Your father's brothers have come to you. I mean, this is true, yes?
Yep.
So who didn't they come to?
To Pharaoh.
They
Pharaoh.
come to me.
Yeah.
They came to you. Ooh, this is now getting dicier. Which way is he going to go? Right? That's he's sweating on this. Is Pharaoh feeling a little put off by this? Or can he break the tension and say, it's great, it's wonderful? You don't know how it's going to slice.
But they came they came to him as the viceroy, not as the brother.
No,
Yeah, but
no, he said, no.
This is after the fact.
Your father and your brothers. That means the whole the mishpacha, when they came down here, right? Remember, Yosef says, "You guys bring down dad," and then Paro says, "I'm giving instruction that they should bring food to eat to Canaan, and then bring your father back." Which means, well, is it that Paro is reminding Yosef that he gives the orders? Or is it that he's saying, Yosef, I'm so on your side, I'm gonna I'm throwing in, please God, you got to do this, and I'm sending down all right, and he's just partnering. So that's still unclear. And so right now you don't know whether Paro's nose is bent out of shape. Okay, where's the next sentence gonna go? And then he says, Eretz Mitzrayim lefanecha, the land of Egypt is before you. In in the best part of the land, just like he had promised. Tuv Eretz Mitzrayim, you can have your father and your brothers settle. Yeshru be'eretz Goshen, let them dwell in the land of Goshen. Whew. The brothers didn't blow it, and Paro agrees that Goshen's a good place for them to be. That is Meitav Haaretz, it's of the best of the land, and they can stay there in Goshen. And if you know amongst them that there are amongst them Anshe Chayil, men of valor, this Samtam. Now, so now we go to the Midrash said, what was Yosef worried about by choosing not to bring his most muscular, imposing brothers? Conscription. Yeah. So now you hear this sentence, and if there are some pretty tough guys there, oi, what's the next part of the sentence you fear he's going to say?
Bring him to me.
I expect him to report tomorrow morning for army service. No, v'samtam sarei mikneh al asher li. Then they should be made, sarei mikneh. They should be in charge of my flocks, the ones that are mine. That worked out better than we feared, right? Every line had the possibility of collapsing, and it didn't. Now, what did Yosef say earlier on about how I know that they're going to want to keep you? It's in their interest to keep you far away from everybody else. Ki toavat Mitzrayim kol roet son. Ki toavat Mitzrayim kol roet son. It's an abomination. It's abhorrent to Egypt, anyone who is a shepherd. What does that mean?
They considered roes expendable. Shepherds.
Well, what is abhorrent about the act of shepherding flocks?
The sheep were gods to the Egyptians.
Okay. Yes. So Rashi says, for every shepherd is an abomination to the Egyptians, because sheep are regarded by them as deities. There's an Ibn Ezra here. Let's look at Ibn Ezra for a second. Yeah, Ibn Ezra. Since every shepherd is abhorrent, the Egyptians of those times were vegetarians like modern Hindus.
And why would the Pharaoh have livestock?
Hold on a second, right? Says Rashi. Let me read. This is a shortened version of the Ibn Ezra. This shows you that in those days Egyptians did not eat meat. And they would never let somebody slaughter sheep. Like the people of India do to this day. When is this day?
Today.
Yeah.
The Ibn Ezra is writing this. So what are we? I don't know, the 13th century? So it's interesting that he knows 14th century. I don't know exactly what Ibn Ezra. I'm embarrassed to say. The Ramban quotes him. I take it back. Ramban lived in the mid 13th century. So the early 13th century. The Ibn Ezra knows a lot. He knows that the Anshe Hodu, Indians, people who live in India, don't eat meat. And anyone who would eat sheep, that would be an abomination. Shehu shotech alav. I don't know what it means because they drank the milk, or that it would also mean. Yeah, I presume so. You would drink the milk, but not anything more. Anshe Hodu lo yochlu v'lo yushtu. Kol asher yitzei mechai margish ad hayom hazeh. The people of Egypt, of India, would not eat or drink anything that comes from a live animal. Actually, chai margish, a living, feeling animal, ad hayom hazeh, to this very day. That's interesting, right? So he's got an awareness of Hindu practice and Hindu sensibilities, and yes, Rick, can I put you on the spot, Rick?
Yeah, sure.
Do you drink milk?
Yes, I'm not a vegan. I'm a vegetarian.
Okay. So it's a taking of life. It's not allowing the live animal to provide something of value to you that for you is hard, right?
As long as the animal is not harmed in any way.
Right. And eggs, that's a hard
Certified humane.
certified humane. Okay, so then presumably, right, an egg which is not fertilized is
Right.
that's right, would not be the problem. So, and of course, we don't eat fertilized eggs as a matter of practice.
Right,
So,
but the eggs in my case are also, it goes beyond free range. It's the next step beyond free
the
range.
next step, they have a hotel. They have
Yeah,
chicken
they have a
hotel. I got you.
The chicken hut.
So,
I have a grandson who won't eat meat.
so this is like very interesting, right? So, so the Ibn Ezra wants to say that they treat it, this way, as a matter. I don't know. This sounds more about humanitarianism. Rashi understands it's more religious because they are deities. I think that the Hindus do have a combination of the two. And then that this leaves you with that fascinating question that somebody asked a moment ago, which is, Paro then says, and if any of your brothers, hold a second. If any of your brothers are good at it, I'd like them to be my own shepherds.
So would it be logical to assume that the shepherds are Jewish? Most shepherds would be Jewish?
Well,
Which shepherds are Jewish? Go ahead.
They're not Egyptian.
Oh, hold on a second. Tell me what you were saying.
I'm saying that it's possible that because the other people wouldn't take that job, it was left for the Jews to take that job. So they were the shepherds.
Of whom?
Of the animals.
Flocks that he already has.
Right. So this is it's a hard thing. So if animals are treated with great respect, so look, my son Ari described to me when he spent time in India, right? We talk about, excuse me, I'm gonna stop sharing here, right? Treating the animals in a certain way, you just have animals roaming in India, right? So, that's the most extreme version of it. Every animal has the right to live on its own. So we talk about domesticated animals. I guess in certain cultures, it's you only domesticate an animal because you want to control it. Now we domesticated dogs, and we don't want to eat the dogs, but so for them, no, the cow is a special animal. It shouldn't be controlled by other people. So what's clear is at least that and the Torah seems to say that for most of Egypt, right, the act of controlling the movement of these animals is an abomination. And yet, Paro has flocks. So what does he do with his flocks?
Wool.
Right. So it's possible that Paro has flocks, not because but because he plans on eating them. The rules for everybody else is one thing, and then Paro meanwhile has the big barbecue every weekend, right? We could imagine such a thing, but it could mean merely that no, he controls the industry that takes advantage of the production of these animals, but doesn't kill them. And I need people who I know are good at controlling them to control the industry that I have. Right? That's all possible. We're going to stop here, everybody. And what we're going to spend one more week in this parasha. Next week we're going to look at the conversation between Yaakov and Paro. So Paro and the brothers went off with a hitch, but thank God, okay. It's Yaakov and Paro that's going to be more intriguing for us. So that we'll look at, God willing, next week. Okay, that sound good?
Okay. Sounds good, Rabbi.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Pleasure.
Thank
A
you.
pleasure.
Bye, Willa.